Justin Bieber, Shakira, Jennifer Hudson, Mary J. Blige, so many artists. When they come to my studio,
You left Haiti, 16 years old, no money in your pocket.
we went to where the church going to be. It was a burned down funeral home.
Was there always a confidence knowing, no, God gave me a gift for this?
Anybody listening to this, fasting is the key. I wake up and I ask God to a spotlight on me, to add value to whoever I meet.
Well, Jerry Wonda,
Man,
what a privilege.
thank you for inviting me, man.
I'm honestly thrilled that you're kicking off our 2025 podcast with Jerry Wonda. And for those who just watched this episode, they listen, they saw some of what you do. And there's many other things I'm sure we could get into, but worked with a few artists, done music for quite a while now, and part of our church.
Well, man, thank you. And you said you're gonna show this episode gonna be the second week.
Yeah.
That is the fast time.
Yeah.
The fasting.
Yeah.
You did it last year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Every year I do the 21 days of prayer and fasting. We're in that. I mean, at the time of the release of this, people are in that right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. 21. I usually start in I start in what day? The 5th or something like that.
Yep.
Or yeah, it's fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm
Absolutely.
happy.
Last year you had fasting, and we can get into some of that of what kind of God was speaking to you. But I feel like there's so much to get into.
Yeah.
I want to start. You grew up in church.
Yeah, I grew up in a church. Actually, there's a story in the church. Came from Haiti, and my uncle started a church, a Haitian church, and a house. It was friends and family, and what we did, it was me and my cousin Wyclef. That's his dad, his mom, and my dad's brothers and sisters. So we first cousin. So basically, everyone called Clef my mom because she's like my mom. And every Sunday, church and a house. So we gotta wake up early for Sunday. And one day, my uncle said, "We moving the church from the house." We kids was like, "Hallelujah, yes." And he's like, "Take everybody," put us all got in a station wagon, and we went to where the church going to be. It was a burned down funeral home. And we was like, "What?"
Not the upgrade you were looking for.
We was like, no. And of course, then he said, "Oh, I sold the house to buy the church. So we all gonna leave there. You don't tell kids we're gonna stay in a funeral home. Like, the basement." So we end up living there. It was like probably like 15 of us living that on the top of the church, and the church was downstairs. So church is all I know,
Wow.
so
So you how'd you get into music then? I mean, just a lot of people in music, a lot of the artists that you've worked with, I mean, kind of their story is grew up in church and there's music in church. Is that the same for you?
it was the same for me because what happened, I wasn't cool. I think I might look cool now, but I wasn't that cool. I was more focused and by myself, creative, and people think something was wrong with me. What's wrong with this one? He don't really talk that much, and I start learning how to play the bass guitar. It made me feel good. And I didn't know I want to make a living out of it. And one Sunday, the bass player for the church didn't show up. And in our church, they have all the instruments. And I was looking at the bass. And I'm going to play you today. And the other voice said, "What about if you go up there, you don't know this song? People don't even know you know how to play. They're going to laugh." So I was fighting the two Jerrys, like the one, and then the last one said, "If you don't show up, if you don't go play today, next week the real bass player gonna show up. That's your lucky day." So I went and
You got one chance.
I got that one chance, and I went and picked up the bass, and people like, "What is he doing?" Then I start playing after the church over, and it was the song that I know. So bass player, we make faces,
Oh yeah.
like,
Yep.
oh. The one older lady came to me and said, "You know what? You really bring the right energy. We felt the spirit. I felt the spirit when I watched you play. Keep playing, my son." I was like, and I had to question this girl, and she just called me by my name. I was like, "What? I'm cool like that?
She
I'm a
knows who
bass
I
player."
am. Yeah.
She knows who I am. I'm a bass player. You can tell me anything else, but I practice, and play. So in the church, it was like it turned around to be really playing the bass in the church and learning how to play guitars, So I write music a lot with guitars and bass. Moving forward, we end up doing like an album for the church. At the time now, church music better. We only sold about 40 copies. And I look at Wyclef, I was like, whoa, we can't make a living out of this. Then I start playing with top 40 bands, played weddings and when I was going to school and built a recording studio called the Booger Basement. That studio was, we couldn't build it in our church. So my dad gave us a house, which is Wyclef mom, brother. So it's like, you, Wyclef, y'all could take my basement, put that studio y'all want to do. Well, after we built the studio, we realized that not only we was doing music for the church artists, singers, but we was doing music for the communities. People find out we had the studio. Everyone in the communities was coming and recording, pay us to create music. And that's how we ended up meeting, Lauryn Hill. And we had Pras. We had a lot of the artists like Queen Latifah and certain artists start coming to the studio. And that's how the score, got created. We was one of the first hip hop band. But all of it just to say, come from the church to that.
Yeah, I mean, it was one day of you saying, listening to that voice in your head,
Yeah.
that obviously it's that God-given talent he gave you, but that step out, and then you go to that energy in the early years. Describe the energy of going from selling 40 records, which I hope you count in your 200 million. I hope you count those 40,
Those look, I never count.
Yeah. But you do that, and then you start actually, okay, I think this can be a thing. I think I can actually do this. And there's a lot of people in the church that they have this talent, and maybe it is supposed to stay in the church, or maybe it's supposed to go outside the church. But what was that energy like when you're producing the score and it starts seeing success and you talk about Queen Latifah? I mean, we could go through the list of names, but early on, I'm sure there was excitement the first time you're meeting some of these people going, wait, I'm producing on this album? They want me? Was there ever a time where you felt that kind of imposter syndrome of I'm not good enough? Why would they want me to produce this? Or was there always a confidence knowing, no, God gave me a gift for this?
You know what? I didn't know what I was doing. I just felt it was some good. The Fugees did the first album, and we didn't produce it. I didn't produce it, but we went on tour because in Wyclef we put the band together. I was a part of the refugee camp. We went to Europe, and we was opening for one of the classic 90. They call Dad's Effects. It's a hip hop band, and we watched how people moving. So when we came back, was like, okay, we're really gonna do an album. And when we started the album, it just felt good. It felt good. Of course, going to church and go in the studio recording. I never thought it was gonna be that big, but I know we're doing something great. It's like because if you think so big, it's gonna be so big, then you like, it's not even organic. So you're doing it for a purpose. What about you doing it for you? Because I tell artists, you gotta, whatever you're doing, you have to like it. But in the meantime, you do it, make sure that there's a lot of people feeling that way. So at the time, I didn't know it was gonna be Grammy. Actually, first song was creating was Ready or Not, and we end up doing, Killing Me Softly, a version of Killing Me Softly. I just know our music was really good. It was a great vibe, and it wasn't no stress, and it wasn't somebody too stressed about it. We was a bunch of cats that just said, let's create good music. But it was a bunch of people, a team that was always there. I tell artists, do something, follow what God gave you, just go for it. Now at the time there wasn't, you can make a lot of money by doing church music. Now we have platform that even, a lot of major artists actually going back to do church music because they feel good. Because when you do a gospel song and you're listening to the lyrics, it just takes you to a place. I produced a song called My Love Is Your Love for Whitney Houston. When you listen to that song, it's basically church songs, and it's basically connected to a church, like a gospel song. But it was both world, which is that's one of my main catalog song,
Mhm.
because I have a big catalog that I have. But it's like every song I have is organic, God connected to God.
What do you think is your advice to people? Again, maybe they're a worship leader that's just getting started, or maybe they're somebody that's wanting to use their gifts and talents in that way in a creative space, and
Yeah,
it's finding their voice. For me, I have to find my voice in podcasting. You have to
yeah.
find your voice in producing, and when I'm preaching, I mean, everyone has a different voice, no matter if they are a front person or a back person. I mean, you were behind the scenes most of your career,
Yeah.
but you're helping shape this. How did you grow in confidence in knowing this is my voice? Because like you said early on, you're just doing it because you love it. But I
Mm.
think as expectations get bigger, and as there's labels, or as there's companies that say, we need you to produce, I'm sure that there's challenges of feeling like I'm doing this because I have to, or I'm doing this because there's pressure now and I can't quite be myself. Obviously, that's a trap. But how have you avoided not being original, not having your own voice in the midst of a world that kind of wants you to be something because they get something out of you?
But as a producer, you you're not an artist. What that means is that an artist got one sound. That's them. As a producer, if I'm working with Carlos Santana or I'm working with Kirk Franklin, two different style of music, or I'm working with Shakira, Mary J. Blige, Beyonce. It's two different sounds. So you blend in. For me, it's all about and music. Just go with the flow. I say wake up if when I have a session. No, every day I do that anyway. When I wake up, what's my day? I pray about my day. It goes from when I wake up and then anywhere I go, I ask God to put a spotlight on me to add value to whoever I meet. So my session, I pray before I go in my session. I think that add a lot of value. And I would say 99% I always give an artist what they're looking for. They always leave with something lovely. And when they come to my studio, they come to the house of God. So no matter what, whatever we create, I create, it's always something that's really that they've been looking for. Of
Mhm.
course, we have conversation like we talk first, but God always helped me to give him what they're looking for.
Mhm.
Is it a hit? It's a hit. There's a movie I watched that Searching for the Sugar Man. That movie is all about you don't know how far your music go.
Mm.
An artist that's trying to do music and music didn't work for him in the US, and his albums was the soundtrack of South Africa. And he did not know that. So whenever I go places, people said, like as a producer, we always stay behind the scene when you say that. People don't know who we are unless you do the research and be like, okay, that person, 'cause Michael Jackson was able to work anywhere, but Quincy could work anywhere. Michael Jackson can go everywhere. That's the difference when you're behind the scene. But the artists know, people knows that you the one that put, I did Destiny Child, no, or Shakira, Hips Don't Lie, things like that. Um, it's all about, man, you go in, make sure you go with the right energy in the studio. Open. And it's never when I'm in the studio, it's never about me. It's about who I'm working with, what value I could add. And that's it, man.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off when
Yeah,
you know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm here to add value and do what I'm gifted to do,
yeah.
right?
That's it.
I mentioned the fasting before, and like I said, this is releasing kind of where a lot of churches and our church is in that time of prayer and fasting. You're talking with one of the members of our team about how that impacted you this last year. Can you talk about what God was speaking to you last year in fasting, and maybe those who are in the middle of that right now, that you can encourage them of, hey, you might get a breakthrough, or you might experience something that you haven't felt before.
Well, last year, I always, unless I'm working, if I have to perform with my band and stuff, I always go play in the church. I usually go in Jersey, my church. We start the service till midnight. I always play there. And for some reason, New Year's Eve, I was really feeling some kind of, happy. Like 2 days before New Year's, I was really feel like I'm fighting something. I'm looking for something. And on the first, and I was looking at, of course, looking at cross town, the I was looking at something, and I said fasting. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should do it again, cause I fasted before, and so you know what? If I can't do it, maybe I do half. Why not? Then I went in after 21 days, and I start, seeing clear. Things was really clear to me. And this year, it's almost like everything I manifest happens. And I always feel like follow the sign. It was a fasting really add a lot of value. I was able to make decision that what I want the year to be. And everything that I wanted really came through till today. Look, I've been coming to this church for like 7 years, if it's not eight. This is one of the results. I always say, oh, I go to church, I'm gonna be quiet, sit in the back, and Pastor Carter
Hmm.
and my daughters go, my kids go to the same school.
Yeah.
Used to go to the same school. And we always say hi to each other. I always come sit in the back. People probably see me because I always wear my hat, whatever. Nobody knows what I do because I don't go to church for people to know what I do. But I just know maybe there's something I could add. I'm saying I'm sitting on board of the Grammys. I'm a part of the voting and fight for different genre of music. I always know that you guys put music out. I was like, maybe one day I like to maybe get a listening of your music you're working on, maybe add value to you guys' music. Because, there's the Grammys. You could get nomination. Nomination really help the artist and also help the church, help the writer, the songwriters,
Hmm.
and it would be value. I would say, maybe I could add value, but one day. And by me doing the podcast, it's one thing for me. And 2012, I was like, I want to help music. I want to add music to board education. The next thing you know, that was one of my things. I start this year where I have over 300 students, high schoolers, and help them define their path of music. And I've been doing that, and I go different places and do it, or even India, going to Delaware, and Newark, New Jersey, New York. Because I'm in New York, I went in the top recording studio for 24 years in New York City called Platinum Sounds. I have a Dolby Atmos room. I don't know you know about Atmos
Yeah.
immersion. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have one of the rooms there. We also room, and we write in most of the top of the artists. Because you have a restaurant. It doesn't matter who come to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in my studio, that's where I did "You Smile" for Justin Bieber. That's when I did "Hips Don't Lie" for Shakira. I did Carlos Santana at the different studios, but so many, Jennifer Hudson, Mary J. Blige, so many artists that I work with. At this point right now, man, I just want to add value where God want to take me. So it goes with fasting. I tell you, if anybody listening to this, fasting is the key. And I fast every Thursday, once a week. Not I stop fasting. It's like a habit. I stop eating for midnight, which is I don't really eat before midnight and till after 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock,
Yeah. The music
till like
producing
12.
time is a little different, right? Staying up late.
Oh yes, But I always work it out where I don't on Wednesday night because Thursday is my fast day. Every Thursdays, and I would just fast and it really made me clarity, and made me connected. I have a bunch of team, a bunch of people that work for me and my team, and I always want to make sure be a better listener. How you have always listened, and they all come to me, and I did something called Landmark Forum, helped me how to connect it to people. And I was looking for what's the best way to be in communication with integrity and things like that. And that's why, the fasting thing add a lot of that to me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the God dreams that He puts in your heart, and
Yeah.
it's sometimes in church we call them dangerous prayers,
Uh-huh,
to
uh-huh.
where you say, "Hey God, what if?" And then He opens the door, and you say, "Hey, what if maybe I could help the church out?" And then it's like, "Oh, now I just told people on the podcast that now I better, do that, and we'll take you up on that offer, Jerry. Appreciate it."
Yeah.
But I think that just goes to show, like, God God's listening to what's on our heart, and He wants to open up those doors,
Yeah.
and all the doors that He's opening you. But I love how you share how fasting, it's like a clarity,
Yeah.
a mental clarity of, I got in tune with the Holy Spirit, and I know what He was speaking, because I rid myself of all the other distractions, even food, and now I know it's Him. And it's
It's
not just my own
yeah.
voice, or it's not just some Instagram reel that I saw. But anything else you want to add on fasting? Otherwise, I have a lot of other questions. But
Well, on fasting, I said, listen, man, if you have the power, because a lot of people say they can, if you have the power, which you have, you should fast. I think it really add for the rest of the year. It's like a setup. It's like before we start this room, everybody come, you put the lighting, you put the right camera, put everything together. It's like set up the year right.
mhm. Yeah,
That's what I would say.
love it. Love it. I would say in creative work, there's often creative differences. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been times, whether that be even with your own cousin, whether that be with people you've worked on from the beginning, to people that are brand new that you're working on, and you're an established producer. People know who you are. They know your resume. How do you manage creative differences? Because the point of creative differences is it's creative work. In, Google Sheets or Excel, there's a number, there's a formula. This is how much it costs, or this is how much it is. But when it's creative work, whether they want this sound or they want this sound, or this design for the record, the album cover, or this track or this sample, how have you managed to process through that with other people? And again, I think that applies to all different types of work,
Mhm.
but especially in creative work, it can be hard. Is there anything that you've learned over the years that has helped you to just say, agree to disagree, or knowing the confidence when you run into those creative differences and disagreements?
Well, I tell you, I take it a little back further. And when I was working with Lauryn Hill, I remember we did a session, and at the time, we have 2-inch machine, and we didn't have computers. And I remember was working on a song. Song is done. Then Wyclef and I, we working on the mix, the nice rough mix. And Lauren got up and said, I don't like the way I'm singing. We need to change the key. And at the time in Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, you could do that in 10 seconds.
Right. Now you can just do it.
You could do that now. At the time, we have to recreate the same thing. So we have to recreate the whole song again. And then after she came back and said, I like the old version. So in other words, when you're working with someone, especially as a producer, it's about them. They want to do a change, you go with it. Because sometimes artists we say, I love what we did last night, but I feel I'm in a different vibe. Okay, no problem. Pick up my bass or my guitar, my MPCs. Like, okay, let's do. What do you like? Okay, give me an idea what you like. Okay, give me 5 songs that you like. What do you like? What do you hear? Okay, no problem. I'm gonna get something in that vein. What tempo? What do you like? Sometimes it's a tempo. Sometimes it's the drum, the way the chords are moving. You want to change different chords. You want to be more simpler. You want to be more. Okay, that's the key of being producer. So you're always gonna find somebody. I did Maria for Carlos Santana. There's a guy named Clive Davis. This guy will tell you at 2:15, there's a background vocals you have. Can you bring in half dB up? Huh? Okay, no problem. Half dB
Very
up.
specific.
Oh yes, you have him, Clive Davis. You have certain people. Clive Davis is like the biggest, you know. Then you have Jimmy Iovine. That was really these guys. They was really in Doug Morris. They would come to the studio with the artists because it was music. Not only there was the record company, and they would come and ask you for a change. And the key, a great producer, when they ask you for a change, you do the change unless you feel like the person not being nice.
Right.
And the minute that someone is not being nice, I say, I'll be right back because I'm Jerry Wonder. I can't do it. And I just disappear and I tell my assistant, call, just say I have an emergency. I can't. We go tomorrow. Because for me, if I feel like we stuck somewhere, because sometimes artists could get stuck. I see artists losing their deal because they're not a great listener. They don't see the investors that investing on them say, which is the record company, which is takes so much percentage 80%, which is robbery, which is what's stopping now. But they say, this is what I want you to do. And the artist said, no, I'm not doing that. But the artist don't say, well, if you want me to do it like this, I'm gonna do it your way. But remember my way. And after that, compare. Apple and oranges. So artists sometimes they need that. That's why I talk a lot to them and say, yo, it's not about you sometimes. If you have a hit, a song is 100%. 50% for music production, 25% lyrics and melody, 25% lyrics, 25% melody. Because back in the days, you would have someone that would the lyrics, but that person, poetry don't know how to put melody to it. That the singer put the melody and the producer put the whole thing together. So for me, the challenge is that you have to stay open. As an artist, be open. You got nothing to lose at all.
I love what you said though about producing. You're like, I'm here to serve you.
100%.
And I think, I mean, again, I can't help myself as a pastor, but it's like ultimately with our gifts, we're like, God, I'm here to serve you.
Yes, yeah,
I'm here to serve you. And if I'm at a church, I'm here to serve God and I'm here to serve the leadership here. If
yes,
I'm in a company,
yes,
if you don't want to work at a company, well, don't be there. But if you're there, serve the people that are you're supposed to serve, you know, and give them the best work.
yeah, yeah,
Because I'm sure for you, the best way to get your name out as a producer was to have a great experience with an artist.
yes.
And they're gonna recommend, hey, who produced that song for you? Oh,
All
Jerry,
the time.
you know, and it's a referral because if they loved working with you, they say, oh, you got to go work there. I'm sure that's how you got started, right? It's like, oh, that's where you get the good sound. That's where they're gonna help you do the type of music you want to do, and they're gonna add their own flavor, but they're not gonna get in your way. They're not gonna yell at you. I'm sure that's a
Oh,
lot
man.
of the business.
Oh no, definitely nobody ever yell because I'm a legacy producer. So, and I have the swag to know how to stand on the right side with the artist and the artist to understand. And before my session, I always ask God, I'm praying for this session, watch over me. So make me a better listener with the artist and make me connected with the artist. I guess you pray like that too. And say whatever I add, make sure I could really give the person what they're looking for. And usually somebody will an album come out, I get a call and say, "Oh my God, Jerry, that song you did? No, I need something in that vein. When can you? Okay, I'm calling your manager right now. I need to get in your schedule because I do. I get that from the last work you do, people, and people go back too to some of the ones and say, "Remember that song you did?" And when I go in the studio, I create. I got if I'm in the studio with John Legend, I probably like 18 songs of John Legend. We put some out, but I got after you do so many songs or with the Jennifer Hudson or Lauryn Hill, I have a lot of songs that nobody heard. I have 10,000 songs that nobody heard of major artists because when we do the song, like we was talking about, they're like, okay, we did 6 songs together. We're only gonna use 2. Now I got 4. The 4 belong to me. What I'm gonna do with it? Just hold it. So it's all about, man, being connected, be open, and trying to have a conversation connected with whoever the creator you're working with.
Yeah, you mentioned you serve as a governor of the New York chapter in the Grammys,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of music genres,
yeah,
but
yeah.
a lot of the people listening to this are maybe involved in the church genre. You grew up that way. I'm sure you're still involved. You've done some work in gospel. There's CCM, which a lot of people are involved in. I mean, River Valley Worship. Obviously, you hear it on the weekends at church.
Yeah,
But what would you say as somebody kind of from you're not in the Christian music space as much. Again, you do some things in there, but you're
yeah,
more in the broad space.
yeah.
What would be the things that you look at? How can Christian artists expand and do more? What should they look in the future? How should they be thinking to expand? Obviously, when we're doing music, we want to use the gifts God's given us, but we're also glorifying God through it. But what would be your advice to those in the Christian music space, whether they're gospel or CCM or something else? How would you advise, or what do you wish would happen in the Christian music industry?
The first thing I would say, if you have about 10 credits, that 10 credits, any songs you put out that go into Spotify, Apple, a few DSPs, you need to register to the Grammys. Why? When you register to the Grammys, actually people don't know that there's music cares. And it doesn't matter what style of music, if you're sick or you don't have a job. And I have a couple friends in Minneapolis that told me music cares when we're in COVID, they got money. So when you register to the Grammys, there's funds there. That's number one. Number two, you want to make sure you register so you know when to put music out. You get nominated. Once you get nominations, it add value. Now, do you win? People don't even know. The Grammy days, you see Grammy, what time they do Grammys? 8 o'clock at night, and whatever, 7 o'clock. The show start at 9 a.m. That's when all the gospel, different genre, world music, all the stuff. A lot of people win Grammys you don't even know. And when you win a Grammys, that's mean your music, a lot of people, you like, there's a flashlight on you. There's that spotlight on you that add value. But a lot of people don't know. And this is why I go to different places. I do a little, talk, sometimes a little master class. We one-on-one, one-on-one, or just get like, sometimes I get like 25 to 30 people, and I sit down and ask their questions, register to the Grammys, and also knows when to put the music. You could go look online when to put the music out, and you just look, I'm here and I'm in the church. Anybody got question for me? They're with you. You know somebody
Yeah.
you know me.
Yeah.
Then I'd be open to really talk to them, and whenever I'm here, in and out.
When you think about the sound of church music, is there church music that you're listening to quite frequently? Is there something that excites you, or do you feel like there's a new wave? I mean, there's different. Obviously, you have gospel and contemporary. That's very different. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
different
yeah.
style. I feel like Maverick City has blended that in a lot of ways. But what like if you were to produce like church songs, or if you were to advise people producing church songs, like, is it just, it's hard to even say because you need to be your own sound, you need to go after that. And some people make fun of church music to where it's so, oh, it's just so simple chord progressions. Well, not in gospel, but kind of contemporary can have that. But then on the other side, I think people are writing songs to be sung in church. It can't be too complicated, because
Yeah,
if it's too complicated, you're going to have people that don't even know how to sing along with it.
yeah,
So, as a musician, when you're in church, when you're listening to music, and I'm not asking you to critique us,
yeah.
but at the same time, like, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about, man, we could make this even better? Or is it like, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about glorifying God in my worship, and I can sing any song and glorify Him. And maybe it's both.
Well, I think it's both. For me, it's just that you have Maverick. There's I work with an artist named Dante
Hmm.
from Maverick, and
Hmm.
I don't know if you know him, right?
Yeah.
He came in and I do stuff, but this guy is such a great writer, a great artist. And at the same time, I go to a Haitian church. They have a reggae gospel band. So you have a hip hop. The key is like the young generation. They pick whatever, but they all sing the same thing. There's the gospel song, and you go to an urban church, they still doing and it's just moving. Just do music. Of course, I said, there's artists that you're gonna have that like songs that because they're great musicians. They put a lot of hard chords because they're all great musicians.
Right.
And there's some that just say, I'm gonna pick up my guitar, I'm gonna write. Because it's not about the most easiest song, most song is always the song that just simpler. Easy chords. 5 chords the most. Sometimes even 3 chords. So and a bridge that just go outside and go right back. I say, man, for me, I just listen to the music that touch me. And I see there's a couple church now that really doing drill hip hop. That
Mm,
doing hip hop but church. They're
right.
also about God. And drill music, it's really tough music, especially you hear it more in New York and Chicago. And lyrically, it could be really bad. But church, because the young kids, that's I love the music. I could produce it. Why don't I just? It's music. Why don't I do God music? And they do it. I'm not mad at that. But I say, for the gospel music, man, just with lyrics that touch people, the young people. I go to church. There's some churches I cannot wear a hat. I gotta take my hat off. There's some churches you go to, music is different. But we all doing one thing. We all praising one God.
Hmm. Amen.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's so good, and I feel like there's so many veins we could go down, but you've given us so much, and I want to respect your time, and I feel
Thank
like
you.
I, f- I feel like the repertoire of artists
Hmm.
and the catalog and all those things are impressive, but in many ways, it's like I was hearing a story. You went to Puerto Rico and you had no money,
Yeah.
and I mean, did you imagine like when you were in Haiti and then you moved? How old were you when you emigrated to the
By
U.S.?
16.
16. So you left Haiti, 16 years old, no money in your pocket.
I don't. Actually, I had I think I had $100, and when I moved, when a refugee, in the sense that it was you go to Puerto Rico, and from Puerto Rico you move to you get to New York, and there was no cellular phone. When I got to Puerto Rico, I ended up staying. I ended up staying. They put us in a hotel, but it wasn't hotel rooms. You know how you go into you have a party in a hotel, they have the party rooms, the
Yeah.
small rooms. So everybody just got a conference room. Everybody just got a mattress and on the floor. And I was the last one. I was praying God, and I didn't know, nobody know where I was for like 2 weeks. Actually spent New Year's Eve. That's why I don't party New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, and I was in the country, and when I walk outside, seeing everybody in Puerto Rico partying New Year's Eve. I didn't have any money, and basically I was eating like salt, and didn't have any money to eat. And it was like I didn't care. And fast, and I'm not somebody. If there's food, I eat. If there's no food, I'm good. And that's what made me don't take nothing personal. And I pray God. And when I got to the U.S., I went straight up to my aunt's house, which is Wycliffe, my aunt in New Jersey. And I came in. I had a little T-shirt on, and I didn't know when, man, around January snow.
Yeah.
I was like, wow,
Bit
ice
different
falling down. No, tasted. That's ice cold and freezing. And
from
but
Haiti to New York and Minnesota. You
yeah, yeah,
never
and
would
then
guess.
to New York, and New York to New Jersey, and then
Mm.
that's when we start. And later on, and I end up having a family here, with 2 beautiful daughters. That goes to Blake now. And I go back. I live in New Jersey, live in Minnesota, and my recording studios in Manhattan that I had since Platinum Sounds, built in 2001. My first studio, Booger Basement, was 1993. Did the Fuji album there, did Akon. Akon was a part of the refugees, and I helped Akon, help everybody. Then 2001, want to build the biggest recording studio called Platinum in Manhattan. I wanted to have the biggest. And you probably don't know who that person is. My first client was Tom Jones. Second client was Janet Jackson and
Wow.
everybody so on. What to tell you, it's not where you at now, it's where you're going. And all you have to do, just follow the path God gave you. And whatever you don't get, it wasn't yours. Because people clap when they when they get what they want. If something don't happen at a job, okay, they didn't get the job. Oh, they got the job. Yo, let's go, champagne. I got a job. And sometimes God don't give it to you because it could be later on could be damaged. People damage you. You get damaged by it, right? So for me to sit with here with you, it's such a blessing. And especially I'm from a country from Haiti. Look at what's going on there. I know if God kept me there, I'd probably not be alive talking to you. I'm a legacy producer. And every day somebody went and buy my catalog. I don't know if you see how everyone's selling the catalogs and
Yeah.
everybody went. I'm like, nah, I never want to sell my catalog because those are my babies. Because from where I came from, and God gave me a chance to work with so many major artists. And I was looking at this something on Netflix and see so many artists that God helped me work. I worked with Michael Jackson and creative. I was watching Making the We Are the World, all these major artists. I work with a lot of them. And even artists now, I work with them. And all the record in my studio. I'm blessed. God bless me. How do I add value to people? That's what I'm about right now. But I can't stop working. I love working. So I'm here every 2 weeks or every week. I fly whenever, my kids, I go here and I go to New York, do the work, come back here in Minnesota. And I love the church. I think Croissant Church is like my favorite church. I feel blessing to be a part of that church, to be there. And I always sit in the back so I could see everything, in the top and the back and the top. That's my spot. And I love it.
Well,
Thank you.
we love having you at the church. We love having you here on this podcast, and thank you
Yeah.
for giving us some insight into Grammys and music and things that many people are unfamiliar with. But you're you're doing it. You're living the God dream, and I hope you continue and thrive. And God just keeps opening doors for people who come in, and like you said, that they feel something different about not only the sound you produce, but
Yeah.
the spirit you bring with. I hope this time during fasting is
Yeah.
great for you, and that it starts off your 2025 strong as well, just like it did last year, and believing just for big things. And we hope that we can, as you help us in our music industry, we hope we can help others across the church world as well. And like you said, they can reach out to me. They don't have to reach out to you. They'll reach out to me, and then I'll reach out to you.
There
Yeah.
we go. That's right. That's it. Or follow me on Instagram,
Yeah.
and then and find me in the church. I'll be in the church, and you probably don't know it's me, but that's a good thing. No one knows it's me.
That's what you producers and songwriters, you like being the ones behind the scenes. You're invited to all the events, but people are like, you don't have to deal with all the celebrity stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
not at all. It's one of the blessings. And meet me at the airport every week, every weekend, every 2 weeks. Let's
Very
go.
good. Well, Jerry, it's been a blessing. Thank you for your time talking church today. And until next time, we'll see you soon, and we'll go listen to some of your music. I'm sure it's all across the world.
Yes,
And
yes.
appreciate it.
Well, anybody could go to Spotify or Apple Music, just put my name Jerry Wonda. They have different playlists and a lot of my work. Yeah, I have a big catalog, probably over 1,000 songs that I produce with different artists, major artists, new artists.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's it.
It's awesome.
Once
Thank you.
again, thank you.